We're just set up here. Our money flow indicator has already triggered an early sell signal. That kind of aligned with this pullback yesterday. And then, of course, if we get this MACD sell signal today, then that is going to suggest, at least in the near term, that markets are going to have more trouble going up versus going down. Here's what you need to know before the bell this morning. Markets did sell off just a little bit yesterday. We were down about 30, 40 bips yesterday at the close. Came off the lows though. Despite the fact that the markets ended down for the day, there was a couple of bouts of buying during the day. So as the market would kind of sell off in the morning, in the afternoon, we had the markets kind of rally back a bit, then they kind of sold off a little bit, then into the close there was buying. And what that's showing is that there's still people buying into the dips of this market. So as the market tries to sell off here a bit, you kind of keep having these buyers step in. And again, that's not surprising. You know, we've got a lot of this rebalancing going on for mutual funds. One thing that's really been lagging here is the Mag 7, as we've talked about. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, those have been under a lot of pressure here over the last couple of days. And that makes sense, right? Don't read too much into it. I'm seeing a lot of headlines that right now is like, oh, it's now time for the small caps to come roaring back and they're going to take over the lead and all this. Be real careful with that. We're just in 2 weeks of the year where mutual funds are having to look at their portfolios going, well, the Magnificent Seven, which was up like 70% this year, you know, those weights in my portfolio are too overweighted. So I've got to sell those guys and I've got to buy the other stuff in my portfolio that's now underweight because they've been underperforming all year. So that's making it look like right now there's this big rotation in the market. It's probably not. It's probably just a lot of year-end portfolio rebalancing and window dressing going on right now as they're making their distributions. They're having to sell stuff to make those distributions. They have to rebalance the portfolio. So that's all that's going on here. This isn't some big, shift, in the overall market dynamics. Very likely, as soon as we get through this next couple of weeks, we're going to go right back to where we were before because mutual funds, pension funds, hedge funds, etc., tend to chase all the same stocks, and they tend to go with what was working previously. And again, they're buying and they're paying up for revenue and earnings growth, which are in those big companies. So again, don't read too much into this rotation that we're seeing in the markets right now. It's probably going to be fairly short-lived. We'll see. Important thing, though, is that little sell-off yesterday got us very close to a sell signal on our MACD. Now, we're not there yet, but the markets are looking to open down this morning. Markets are about 18 points at the open on the S&P. So if the market ends lower today, we're likely going to trigger that sell signal. And again, that kind of gives us a couple of targets to go to on some type of short-term correction that we've been talking about here. 4480 is the 20-day moving average right now. So again, that's not too far below where we are right now. We closed yesterday at 4560. So a pull down to 4480. Below that is 4350. So again, a little bit bigger correction there. You get back down to 4350-ish. That's the 50-day moving average. Good level of support right there. And probably that's where the market's going to hold at this point going into the end of the year. And again, as we talked about before, we're just set up here. Our money flow indicator has already triggered an early sell signal. That kind of aligned with this kind of pullback yesterday. And then, of course, if we get this MACD sell signal today, then that is going to suggest, at least in the near term, that markets are going to have more trouble going up versus going down. Now, that doesn't mean the markets are going to crash, so don't overreact to this. But all this suggests is that buying pressure is becoming less and your selling pressure is increasing. And that's going to kind of all coincide with some type of short-term correction here. And again, it doesn't mean anything. But again, if you haven't taken the time right now to do some tax loss selling for the end of the year, to rebalance your portfolio, do it now. This is a really good time. You need to do it before year end anyway. If you need to sell some stuff to do your RMDs, your required minimum distributions, great time to be doing that right now. Take advantage of this rally, sell some stuff here, go ahead and raise the cash that you need for those distributions. But that's what you need to know before the bell this morning.